What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome in to another episode of the Triple Play Fantasy Baseball Show, a proud member of Fantasy Points and the Fantasy Points Media Group. Reminder that you get access to all the great tools over at fantasypoints.com. 10% discount using code TriplePlay22. You don't want to miss out on that. Mendy here, joined by Dirt, that just like when it falls on the floor, he gets very dirty. Art Tornabeni, a.k.a. Little Cheesecake, the LC. LC, how's it going?
Man, I got a reputation to uphold here, man. I say those things in strictest confidence, okay? On this show, I am a wholesome person, okay?
Yes.
Outside of this show, it's a different story.
You're
But
like
on this
Triple
show-
Play. You're the soul in our like Slack or Discord channel. You're the soul part of the Triple Play After Dark stuff. That's you.
That's exactly right. That's right. That's why you got to join our Discord. You can see me getting a little after darkish in there.
Oh,
sometimes.
yes. That's a selling point right there.
Big
Of course,
time.
also joined by someone that likes to eat pizza and party. It is Eric Mendelson, a.k.a. The Doc. What's up?
Yeah, that's a normal Friday for me. You're accurate, David. Nice. And Art, you were dirty that one episode. We just kept having sexual innuendos. All right, it spilled over a little bit.
Yeah, you couldn't contain yourself.
I forget what it was. I forget. I was able to work it in really flawlessly. I don't think anyone noticed anything.
You're a wily old
Beautiful.
vet. That's what you're a wily old vet.
We, of course, can't forget the other member of the crew. It's our bearded tiger, Marty Tallman. What's up?
Bearded tiger. You know what? I like that. Overall, things are good. It looks like the CBA negotiations are picking up. So I'm going to be more optimistic this episode. Optimistic Marty's in full force.
I'll say you're very optimistic because right now the screen is stuck on you smiling.
There we go. See? Perfect. And you can thank my 2015 MacBook that doesn't really work anymore. So
You look like a ventriloquist.
Okay. That's horrible, actually. I don't like that at all.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Well, I don't know how you can transition from talking about that stuff to talking about our guest, but we're going to try. We welcome in a man who seems to bloom every single spring, whether it's his moderating of first pitch, his analysis, or his bloom boards. This man is a writer and social media director of Baseball HQ, the 2020 FSWA Baseball Writer of the Year, and a 7-time finalist. This man stays busy as he is the associate editor of the Baseball Forecaster and maker of the hashtag Bloomborbs that we know and we love. Ladies and gentlemen, he's smooth on the mic and he's a savage in the draft room. It is Ryan Bloomfield. How's it going, man?
Bravo. That was impressive. It's going okay. It's going okay. I'm trying to control what I can control and not be glued to Twitter and CBA updates. So I am absolutely looking forward to this and getting away from that. This will be fun.
That's what these shows kind of become recently, like our shows. And I know all the other people that are still doing podcasts, like you're trying to just mentally take yourself away from the reality that it's just players versus owners. It's an ugly battle right now. Right before I get into all the good stuff, let's just open it up. Let's just get the negativity out the door. And let's just talk really quick. Ryan, I got to start with you because we kind of already addressed it here. Do you have any optimism that we're going to be able to play baseball, or are you starting to become more pessimistic?
Just starting to get tired of it all. It's just, if I hear CBT, CBA, international draft, there's just all this stuff. And we're spending so much, at least I am speaking for myself. I try and avoid it, but spend so much time trying to follow it. And there's just not too much good news that comes out. So like I said before, control what we can control. I think we'll have baseball. It's going to get a little bit tougher now if there's not a 162-game season. That's just one more kind of negotiating block that they've got to figure out if it's not a full season. But I don't know. I mean, if it's delayed, it's delayed. I've always thought, control what you can control, sharpen your sword, try and learn something new if you've got time and the season's delayed. Do what you can to make yourself better. And that's about all you can do. So I'm trying not to worry too much about stuff out of my control, but it's easier said than done.
It is very hard right now. And you saw just the other day, they were talking about how there was 3 specific rule changes: a pitch clock, restrictions on the use of defensive shifts, and the size of the bases. And they were going to basically make it where they could implement this as soon as 2023. And you just kind of saw the wheels in motion. Everybody was seeming to get excited. Marty, you seemed like you stayed grounded I didn't see any tweets from you expressing optimism. So where do you stand right now?
Well, I absolutely love all the rule changes. I'm for getting rid of the shift. I want to see more athleticism in baseball. Art, stop laughing at me because I'm not moving. Yeah, and the bigger bases, I don't really understand that. Well, I mean, it's going to cut down on injuries potentially. Those extra 3 inches might give you an ability to steal more. I don't really know about that. What was the last one? What was the third one?
There was defensive shifts,
Pitch clock.
bigger bases.
Pitch clock. Yeah, I'm all for the pitch clock. Yeah, let's get it going. And I think that will actually help the pitchers to a certain extent too. Getting in a rhythm. There's some pitchers that's what they do anyway. So I think those are all positives. As far as getting into the nitty gritty of the CBA, I'm like Ryan. No thanks.
What just came to me is like when you're frozen, it's like when they interview somebody on ESPN and they put their picture on screen while they talk. That's what you are right now. It's like we're reporting from Marty Tallman.
There we go. I'm reporting here from Detroit, Michigan. Back to you.
There we go. LC, you speak good words. You're a very positive individual. You also can be very real. And where do you stand on where we are today with baseball negotiations?
Man, it's a lot of posturing. One side, no one is really wanting to take the steps closer together to make the deal. We obviously all have sympathy for the players because, they're the ones who provide us the product. They're the ones who are the product, and they are the ones who we want to see. So, obviously we all feel that the revenue that they help to produce, more of it should go to them. So we just want the owners to crash, and the owners, they're gonna they have the keys to the house. House party doesn't start till they turn the keys, and that's the whole thing. So what I do is I wait for Bubba to put out his depressed tweet, so I know how the bargaining went today, and then once I see that, I know I don't have to look anything up.
Yeah, he's on it. He's like, his tweets are the ones that pop up first when I see like there's positive or there's negative. He's on it. He's fantasy baseball's Jeff Passan. That's for sure. He's like first on the stories. Doc, just wrap this up for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like Groundhog Day. Obviously, great movie, but you don't want to be living in real life. And I think this came out from Twitter today, a tweet that Steve Cohen liked. Maybe I'm way off here, but I don't think MLB would ever accept an offer from the MLB PA. They want to have the upper hand. They want their offer accepted or denied. It's going to be a game of hardball. And I think there's just so many things that they don't agree on. And there are certain things, yes, that they're starting to come closer to, but the international draft, playoff teams, like the fact that we didn't start negotiating right away, or they didn't start negotiating right away, it's just putting us that much further behind the 8 ball. I said this last week. I will take any baseball we can get this season. Like, I don't think we're going to come to an agreement anytime soon.
What does it mean that Steve Cohen liked that? Does that mean Steve Cohen agrees?
He liked the tweet.
He liked the tweet.
No, does that mean he agrees that owners won't, or does he mean that he thinks owners should?
No, I think he agrees that owners should accept a proposal from the players, that the players either accept or reject their offers, that they have the upper hand.
So yeah, I think he stay the F off of Twitter, Steve Cohen. Shut your trap.
No, that's a glimpse of what you get of Art in the Discord
after dark.
Yeah. All right. Not too much more negativity here. Let's go back to positive. In today's episode, we're having our outfield position preview part 1. So that means we're going to look at outfielders 1 through 30. We're going to talk about guys that we're fading, some guys that we like in each range, and of course, some gems that maybe you could get after or in that 20 to 30 range, right after the gimme guys. So it's going to be a lot of disagreements, debates, and of course, all that great stuff. After we go to our bullpen for our question of the week, and we will save that for you listeners. LC had a good one that I'll save that for the when we get there. And then our game of the week to finish out the show as we always do. So without further ado, let's dive into our outfield preview. And we're going to be looking at NFBC ADP since February 23rd. So we've been doing 2 weeks as our cutoff recently for our shows, get more accurate data in a sense for that. And let's talk about first our outfielders going 1 to 10. And this is not, which Ryan actually made a good point when we were talking in the DMs, that he was like, are you talking about the number outfielders 1 through 10 or whatever the other thing, Ryan, you asked me.
Rounds.
The rounds. Thank you.
If I come up here and start saying Miles Straw is my fade right off the top, it's like,
and I was like, that was a really good question. I'm glad you asked me that. So we're just talking right now about the first 1 through 10 guys going off the board in the outfield range here. So as we talked about in every other show, it does not necessarily mean that you're not going to draft them. It just means that their price, you don't find yourself taking as much of them as you do other guys. So as far as if you don't like a certain player. So 1 through 10, Ryan, we're going to go to you first. Who do you find yourself drafting most of in this range?
I actually find myself drafting one of the guys in the background of your sweet little StreamYard here, and that's Yordan Alvarez. I think, there's a lot to be said about, the lack of steals and that sort of thing in building, like from a team construction standpoint, wanting to get steals early. I think Yordan Alvarez, and I think Eric Cross has said this as well on Twitter, but I think he could be Vlad Guerrero Jr. this year. I think I had his box in the Baseball Forecaster and wrote an upside of him of 50 home runs. I think he can pair that with a 300 batting average, hits in a great lineup. A year ago, we were also worried about the knees, but he kind of shushed those aside by not only just DHing, but qualifies in outfield now. So played enough games in the field to kind of make me a little more confident in the knees, which was a big issue for me last year with Yordan. So Alvarez is my guy. If you're willing to fall a little bit behind in stolen bases, I think, like I said, I think you're getting a Vlad Guerrero, maybe a Juan Soto without 10 bags at right around pick 30. So Yordan's my guy there. I really like. I think he's one of the it could be one of the top 3 hitters in baseball.
100% agree with you. I've been loving trying to get him, but I've noticed his ADP starting to creep up. I noticed he doesn't even last to the end of the second round, I feel like, as much as he used to. My question to you, Ryan, is if you have a back end pick, if in a 15-team league, you pick, like, let's say you pick 14 and you pick 17, would you take him with the 17th pick?
Probably if he's not going to make it back to you. So at that point, you've got to figure, are you going to take a second round, starting pitcher, which I've kind of been a little bit off of this year, going more in towards like the 5th or 6th round starting pitchers, the kind of Gossman, Castillo, Trevor Rogers zone. Or are you going to pick more of like a steals guy or a closer even this year? And I think Yordan Alvarez, if you're going to go hitter in round 2, he's going to get you those 4 categories of elite production. So as long as you're comfortable getting steals a little bit later or starting out in your first round with steals, I think he's fine. If you were going at the back end wheel, like 17, I would not be opposed to that.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you look at his StatCast page, it would make a bull angry. It's just so much red. 277 batting average, 33 homers, 104 RBIs, max EV, exit velocity, everything hitting the ball hard, he excels at. Actually, I mean, his K rate isn't even that bad. 24% for someone of his type of power is pretty solid as well. So I, like you said, Ryan, I find myself loving Yordan Alvarez. I think that's a great call. Now, Marty, let's go to you next. Who's somebody that you find yourself taken up in this range? It's potentially someone that makes Nationals fans very happy.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of making a bull upset, check out Juan Soto's Baseball Savant page. It's absolutely beautiful. Everything's blood red in the best spots. The K percentage 90%, the walk percentage 100%. He's barreling the ball 83rd percentile. xWOBA's 99th percentile. I mean, there's nothing earth-shattering. I mean, he is one of the best players in baseball. He's still only 23 years old, so it's very possible that he has a next level in his game. Last year, he hit 29 home runs with 95 RBIs. He got you 9 stolen bases. I could see that even going up a little bit this year as well. But it's nice and super safe. When you think about Acuna or Fernando Tatis, there's some question marks there with the injuries. Juan Soto, you draft him, you're good to go, baby. Just relax. You got one of the best players in baseball. The Nationals, the counting stance won't be as good because of how bad that team is around him. But that's not going to stop me from drafting him.
And over 500 OBP in the second half of last year. Woo. And is it fair to say he's a slam dunk #1 overall pick in OBP instead of average leagues?
Oh, for me, absolutely. It's not them and points.
And points. Ryan, what about same for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think the Walker. I think in like traditional 5x5 roto, I think it's a great point. Like the factors outside of Soto's control, his team really hurt him because he's going to get pitched around, and walks don't really do much for you in 5x5. But yeah, no BP or points, such a boost from the number of walks that he gets. He would be my number one pick overall.
22% walk percentage last year, and
nuts.
Yeah, and you referenced the stolen bases, Marty. Every projection system, Steamer, Zips, the Bat, everything has him in double digits, anywhere from like 11 to 13. So, you're expecting hopefully some double digit upside with the stolen bases there too. So, yes, I very much like Soto as well. LC, you like somebody that's very polarizing. You like somebody where you're not worried about shoulder injuries. You like Fernando Tatis.
Yeah,
you were drafting him.
Being real bold, talking up the number 2 player on the board in the entire draft. My entire point here is that I think Tatis should be going number 1. I think the entire argument for Turner is based upon volume rather than ceiling. I think, and in my viewpoint, if you have the number 1 overall pick, you should be going with the highest ceiling. Not only that, if you look at like Tatis versus Turner, like just the Steamer 600 of them is really shows the difference. Steamer has Tatis with 19 more home runs, 11 more runs, 22 more RBIs, and 1 less stolen base than Trey Turner if they both get 600 plate appearances. I mean, it's entirely a volume play. And when you see last season in 130 games, Tatis was the number 6 rated player. In the most amount of games Turner has played in many seasons, he was the number 3 rated player. So I think you could see the actual difference in the per game that you get from Tatis. And also from my point of view, now Turner also gives you this, I think, to a less extent, but with Tatis, having him as a shortstop and outfield really gives you a ton of draft flexibility in getting your build. I've gone Tatis first overall and saw Xander Bogaerts fall, and I can no problem bumping Tatis out to the outfield and putting Xander in at my shortstop, because I think, the depth of shortstop allows you to do that. It allows you to do that with Turner as well. But I think the fact that there are 5 outfield spots and only 1 second base spot or middle infielder spot gives you a little bit. It's a little bit less of a little bit more flexibility with Tatis, just because there are so many outfielder spots. So to me, I think that the Tatis should be first overall. His ceiling is easily higher than Turner, and that's my whole argument.
So one quick thing, and then I'll move on to Doc really fast, is it's been brought up that his shoulder injury, he didn't get surgery on it, and it's something that could come up again during the season. Does that not deter you at all? Just the fact that you have to use that type of capital on him, the number 1 or 2 pick in the draft, with someone going into the year where they're saying he's not getting surgery and it's going to be continuing potentially popping up. I actually want to highlight Derek Rhodes said something really great on the CBS Fantasy Baseball Today podcast. It went on last night, came out this morning, where he said that you pretty much with hitters, most of the time those injuries aren't going to be long-term, besides like an oblique, maybe they're out 6 weeks, but for the most part, hitter injuries aren't long-term, pitcher injuries are. And that's why most people like drafting hitters early on, because you're not potentially lose them, barring like the Acuna's example where he tore his ACL. You're not going to lose them for extended periods of time. But you have Fernando Tatis coming in with a already questionable shoulder injury that, if it gets any worse, could keep him out for a long amount of time. And that's something that I feel like raises red flags for a lot of people, but you're okay with that type of risk based on his reward.
I do. I'm okay with the risk based on the reward. I'm also thinking Tatis was able to, on the fly, switch his swing in the middle of last season and not experience a break in his production. His production kept steady after that, going to the 2-handed follow through on his swing to protect his shoulder. I also think that it is likely he has been working with a personal trainer to help build up the strength in that shoulder and help reduce the risk of injury. I mean, they have great medical staff there. So for me, I think and Turner has Turner is just kicking off the injury label too himself. He was an injury label guy as recently as 2019, where they were like, oh, how many games are you going to get for Turner? So I think, in the comparison between the two of them, Turner has more recent health. But I think that, as you said with injuries, and I'm not going to, Derek Rhodes knows much more about injuries than I do. With injuries, they could happen. They might not happen. For me, I'm going with the guy who I think is going to produce the best overall season. I think it's going to be Tatis.
All right. Doc, give us the Cliff Notes version of you're like Bryce Harper.
Yeah, so I mean, just always squeeze me to the end, right, David?
Yeah, you're catching on.
Yeah, well,
you get 10 seconds.
It's better than your analysis, I guess. So Bryce Harper, he's only 29 years old. So I think when a lot of times people come in early, we assume that they've made their debut later, but he's still relatively young. Don't think he's going to fall off the cliff yet, but we've seen him have career high in K rates the last 2 seasons at 20.1% and 16.7. And he's lowered his K rate as well. Career lows in K rate. That's why I have a shorter time to below his career average. I like his lineup around him better than Soto's. Like, I would actually take Bryce Harper over Soto. Remember early in his career, we talked about injury concerns. Harper didn't really know. Harper didn't know how to protect his body. He would go 100% every single play, whether it's running into a wall. And I think he's really learned how to preserve it. He's been more durable. The last 3 seasons, he's had 34, 35, and 35 home runs, double-digit steals, decent batting average.
Do you want to make a bet? Do you want to make a bet who has more fantasy points between Bryce Harper and Juan Soto?
In points or roto?
You said you would take him over Bryce Harper, so I'm assuming you would take him in either format.
I would take Bryce Harper before Soto in a 5x5.
I mean, all right. Well, I'll still bet that.
Okay.
All right. Deal. That all your analysis?
Yeah, because I don't get a lot of talking time on here, so I gotta make best use.
Okay. Let's go back to what everybody wants to do. Let's go back to Ryan. Let's talk about it just like in this range. And the 1 through 10. Who do you find yourself? You're like, you know what? I'm good. His draft capital a little high for me. I might pass.
All right, so I'm going to make that counterpoint for Tatis. I think, really, it's your alternatives are Trey Turner and like J Ram, and so I just think from a draft standpoint, I want to take the floor of those 2 guys. Tatis, we brought up all the points that were just brought up are totally valid. He's a freak. He could play 130 games just like he did last year, finish number 6, and that's. If you get that out of Tatis again this year, you're good. The only thing I would say is with Tatis, the first half, second half splits. Like in the second half, yes, he did swing with both his hands and kind of retool things, but he only hit 264 with 16 homers and 8 steals in the second half. Compare that to 301 with 26 homers and 17 steals in the first half. So there was a pretty noticeable production drop from Tatis in the second half. I know I'm kind of cherry picking things, but that was after he kind of retooled everything and wasn't as aggressive on the base pass. So I totally get the case for Tatis. Like, yes, he has the ability to be like a $50 player if he plays 162 games. Totally get it. But the downside's a little bit too much. If I've got a top 3 pick, I'm going to go Trey Turner or J Ram with more relative safety, I guess, that early in the draft.
So you're not taking Tatis unless he falls to 4.
Right. And even then I'd have to think about it. I had the 5th pick in labor and I took Bo Bichette. Tatis was gone, but that would have been a tough decision.
Ooh, tough decision. All right. I like it.
So I'm probably lower on Tatis than most, but yeah, that's where I'm at.
It's a hard decision to make. Again, they say you can't win your draft in the first round, but you can lose it. I know it's kind of a quote some people stand by, and it's definitely a big risk with him. That's for sure. And like you stated, Ryan, there's some troubling numbers in the second half with that 2-handed finish on his swing. So you have to weigh that risk, but obviously the upside there too. Doc, I'm going to go back to you because I feel bad and I want you to have a little more time this time. Why do you hate Starling Marte? Why do you dislike his draft price?
All right. Well, when I did my research,
technically
Monday,
he's number 11.
Well, he was number 10 on Monday, and Tatis is also shortstop eligible first.
That's okay. Fair enough.
So for Starling Marte, and we talked about this when I was between him and Whit Merrifield and TGFBI, and a big thing for me is durability. So the last 2 out of 3 full seasons, He's played 130 and 132 and 120 games. Now, we look at his speed, and that's what's really enticing. He had 47 stolen bases in 120 games last year, which means he got a steal in 40% of his games. That is highly unlikely to repeat. Now, he did this similarly in 2017, where he had a steal in 36% of his games. He had 47 stolen bases in 129, but he was also 27 years old at that time. He's now 33. So I see the steals decreasing a lot based on that, just unlikely to repeat. He's a guy with a low walk rate, and he just got paid. He probably is viewing his body as an investment. The Mets probably will also. So for him, you're chasing slightly over 300 batting average, some home run pop, some runs, not many RBIs where he's going to hit in the lineup. It's just too rich for me.
Do you guys believe in the manager has an effect on the stolen bases, or you think that's completely out of the equation?
I don't think it's out of the equation because, like, that's what he's known for is speed. Like, you're not going to take away an advantage he has on the diamond, but I think they're going to limit it a little bit more probably.
Because people have said that Buck Showalter's not a guy that usually lets his players run a ton. That's just not. He's kind of more of an old school manager. That's thrown out there. I don't know if that's something people believe will be a strong thing or not. Also, Starling Marte just got paid. So is he going to limit his chances of getting hurt because of why does he need to run that many times? It's not like he's trying to run for a contract. So that's one of the things I think that's crossed some people's minds too when they draft. So I think that weighs in your favor there too as well, Doc. Let's go to you, Marty. Let's go back to you and let's talk about your dislike in this range. And I got to say, Mike Trout is not a name you would have heard a few years ago, but he's also kind of become a very polarizing player. That people are scared about that calf. He's not stealing bases anymore. Is that why you're out on Mike Trout here?
Well, this is all true, but Trout is not my guy. It's Ronald Acuna Jr.
It's funny. I was looking at Art's thing.
But no, but I think, similar to why people aren't drafting Trout is, the injury, history. And I mean, look, this pains me to even say this because I love Acuna. He's absolutely incredible. He's a top 5 talent in all of baseball, but he's coming off a torn ACL. And when I'm looking at his ATC projections, they have him stealing 22 bases. And I don't know what they're basing that on. So I'm going to need to see it before I fully invest. I think Bryce Harper is a way better investment at that exact same time. It's less risk. That's what I'm here for in the first round. Unless you're trying to take down one of the main event or some kind of overall where you're in with 500 other teams and you just need ceiling. It's a little too rich for my blood. And this is coming from I'm actually being optimistic because I think that the season's going to start here within the next month and a half. Now, the further we get into it being delayed, obviously it's only going to help him more and more and more. So come speak to me in 2 months if there's no season yet and we're just about to start it. I think Acuna may be a better fit there, but for coming, it's a torn ACL. It doesn't get much worse than that. So to invest all of it in there, all of that capital in your first round, I'd rather take Bryce Harper and just, take a deep breath.
Yeah, it's also, it's interesting too. We can't see his progress, right? Like he's going to put videos up of himself working out, but we don't see, him getting any action on the field. We don't see the type of stuff that could raise his ADP or make us feel more comfortable with the raise in his ADP because it's actually gone up. Now he's going inside the top 10. And
he keeps moving. Yeah.
And if you look,
I was going to say real quick, and this is something that I think do we really think the Braves aren't talking to Acuna? They've left him alone the last 3 months, let him do his own thing. He's working, I don't know about any of that. I think that's kind of wild, but yeah, the Instagrams look great, but is he going to be coming off a World Series team? Is he going to be going balls out days in, day out, trying to get stolen bases and, playing the field every single day? The DH is going to help him a little bit in that sense, but it's still just too rich.
Yeah. Ryan, you seem like you agreed as well with the Acuna stuff.
Yeah, and I just don't know how much he'll run when he comes back. It's just a lot of unknown. I'd be more open to it if we start up drafts again and it's right before opening day and we've got a little bit more actual concrete evidence to go off of. But right now it's too much unknown for me. Yeah, I'd take Bryce Harper over Acuna right now too.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. LC, now we can go to what I was referencing before with Mike Trout. You're out on him.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm out on Mike Trout. I'm going to show the other side of the Tatis argument. Trout was a guy who for a few seasons was still producing great seasons, even though he was missing little chunks of time each year. Last season was the first time that the little nagging injuries took him out for most of the season. He had a calf injury, a grade 2 calf strain on May 17th. Supposed to be about a 6-week strain. He missed over 4.5 months. He missed the entire rest of the season. Everyone who was holding on to Trout, hoping he'd come back in 6 weeks, took a big L on that one. I just think for me, then, the difference in age between Trout and Tatis. Trout's going to be 30 this year. And the fact that these sort of calf injuries, these sort of soft tissue injuries seem to be happening with greater frequency with Trout. And the fact that there's a lot of other outfielders, a lot of other talent that are going in that area that I don't, that did not, that finished the season on the field last year, which is a big difference for me. And like with anything, with Trout, if we could get a really good look at him now, I might have a little bit more confidence. But the injuries are starting to catch up to him now, I think.
All right, fair enough. Let's now go into the next range of guys here, and this is the 11 through 20. And Ryan, we're going to go back to you. These aren't the slam dunk first round guys or even early second round guys. We're getting into, this is where you kind of decide how you want to build in the draft. And with this range of guys, who do you find yourself wanting to draft a lot of?
Draft a lot of is George Springer. I've been all over George Springer. The guy burned me big time last year. Was taking him in like the second or third round in a lot of 15-teamers and just got hurt and never really got back until really the second half. But once George Springer did get back in the second half, he was unbelievable. I think the power is there for him to hit 40 home runs. If everything breaks right, he's going to lead off at the top of a just elite lineup in Toronto. I don't know if he's going to steal as much as he did in the past, maybe like 5-10 bags, but everything else for George Springer is there for him. And the price is really good too. And it's interesting, like that your kind of 11th through 20th outfielders is a big difference in ADP. I mean, George Springer is going like 53, 52, 53 in draft. So you're able to get him in like the fourth round of 15-teamers. And again, if you've got steals in decent shape or you're kind of half punting steals or whatever, George Springer could deliver first round value this year. I just think the team context, his skills, the way he finished last season healthy is all looking good for Springer. So I've taken up a lot of George Springer early in draft so far.
Rightfully so. I mean, keep in mind in 342 plate appearances last year. So, maybe in a regular season, if he stays healthy, 600, it would be nice, but you'd even take, 500 plus. He had 22 homers and 50 RBIs in the 342 plate appearances, hit 260 and stole 4 bases. I mean, again, still hits the ball hard and going to hit a top of arguably one of the best lineups in baseball. And he's a guy also, I mean, his K rate is very respectable. 23% last year, was 17% in 2020. Walks at a double-digit clip. Would it shock anybody on this panel if next year George Springer was the number 1 overall hitter?
No.
Would it shock anybody?
That's my love too.
I will let you go ahead and talk him up in a second. Am I being too crazy with that?
I don't know if he gets enough steals to do it. But I think the other 4 categories, I called Yordan Alvarez kind of Vlad light. I think George Springer, it could be like Yordan Alvarez light and get to that first round. Number 1 overall, I think you need like 20, 30 bags, I think, to really do it, but you can get close.
Yeah, I think Vlad was the number 2 overall hitter last year, if I'm not mistaken, right?
He was. I mean, yeah, depending where you look, but yeah, he was right up there. And yeah, and Vlad, that is the type of season you have to have in order to get there without the bag. So it's hard, but yeah.
Doc, go ahead and pile on the George Springer love.
Yeah, so I look at the lineup he's in, and it's going to be a good hitting lineup, similar to the Astros. And so the 2 full or 3, I guess, somewhat full seasons with the Astros, he was top 10 and then number 11 in runs. So, I mean, all right, not even saying he's going to be the number 1 player, but in a 5x5, would it surprise anyone if he plays 80% of games if he's top 10 in home runs and top 10 in runs?
Mm-mm.
That's a solid contributor in 2 categories right there. He's not going to kill you with batting average. The counting stats, he probably won't be top 10 in RBIs, but he's going to get more plate appearances with a Toronto lineup that's probably one of the top in the game. There's not too much to add to what Ryan said. I think the reason he's so down is because he burned a lot of people last year. But with an ADP of 52 and even a min pick of 30, I think that's really reasonable. And he has a higher ceiling than a lot of people in this range.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and I don't know about you guys. In every draft I'm in, he doesn't leave the 3rd round. And I think I've done 4 or 5 drafts over the last 2 weeks, and he does not leave the 3rd round anymore. He's firmly set himself there. So again, someone that's rising up draft boards very quickly. Now, LC, I'm going to go to you real quick. You in this range seem to really like Cedric Mullins, and I wanted to say that especially because our friend Brad in the comments said that he's not going to stay subscribed if we don't talk about his guy Cedric Mullins. So go ahead,
Brad. You don't have to worry, man. You and I share the same love of Ced Mullins. Now, Ced made a big switch before 2021. Stopped hitting switch and took up left-handed hitting all full time. Now the difference was night and day. Pre-2021 versus left-handed pitchers as a righty, he was hitting 147. In 2021, he hit 277 against lefties. I mean, so that difference, that's huge. I don't think he's going to keep that nearly 280 batting average against lefties, but I don't think we're going to drop back down into the 100s again. I think there's a pretty decent shot. He keeps it above 250 against lefties. Also, you're talking about a guy who's 27 years old in his physical prime. He has 30 home run power. They're moving the fence back in left field in Camden Yards. Good news is every single one of his home runs was pulled. So all of his home runs go to right field. 23 of his home runs came at home last season. That power is still going to be there, and he's just a fast guy. 30-30, only got to do it last year. I think he's pretty much, if he stays healthy, I think he's pretty much a lock for 2020 this year.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a safe projection on him as well. Now, Marty, in this range, who is somebody that you think that you're going to make sure you grab?
Well, speaking as a lock for 2020, it's going to be Mr. Randy Arozarena. And so in his first full year last year, he had 20 stolen bases. He had 20 home runs. He slashed 274, 356, 459. I think people kind of sleep on his OBP skills. I mean, OBP of 356 is nothing to snuff at. His sprint speed is in the 90th percentile. Max exit velocity in the 86th percentile. The Rays were the 2nd best offensive team in all of baseball last year, so the counting stats are going to be there. And for me, he is like a Tim Anderson light. You're going to take a little bit of a hit in the batting average, but he'll make up for that with a little bit more power in the home runs. For where he's going, I'm going to skip out on Springer. I'm going to skip out on Nick Castellanos, and I want to be able to get those steals without killing my batting average. And he's just right there. He's in that perfect spot where it makes me feel nice and good.
Now I'm looking up his stolen bases because I know he did steal 20 last year. But if
Don't talk about him getting caught 10. That's what
I was looking up. I didn't know.
Well, so and here's another year wiser. And hey, let's add 3 inches to each of these bases, and I think he's going to be perfectly fine. So you don't have to worry about that.
That's my only concern is if he starts getting caught as many times, if they don't let him steal as much and they're not be as aggressive on the base paths.
Well, he's one of their only guys that they can really go out there and get you a stolen base. There's not too many of the other Rays that are getting you that. So I'm less worried about that. And I really do believe, he's 27 years old. This is only his 3rd year in Major League Baseball. He's the speed is there. So what it is just learning to be able to read the pitchers better. And another year under his belt, I think he'll be able to do that.
All right. Well, then let's move to the other side of the coin. Let's talk about the players in this range we are not too fond of. And I know Marty and Doc, you guys have the same player. I'm going to go to Ryan first because I wonder if he's the same guy as you two do. Who do you have, Ryan?
I think it is. It's Buxton, but I want to.
We're all tag teaming Buxton.
I don't want to just all agree. It's so obvious what the downside is with Buxton. So I'll go in a different direction. I don't want to hog the spotlight. I'll go Mullins as my fade. So here we go. So here's an interesting fact: is every year, or at least each of the last 5 seasons, there's been a first rounder that has been drafted with an ADP outside like the top 13 rounds in 15-team leagues. All right, and so Mullins was that guy last year. That's happened every year, the last 5 years. Before that, it was Luke Voit in 2020. Before him, it was Ketel Marte in 2019. Before him, it was Blake Snell 2018. Aaron Judge before him, and Jonathan VR back in 2016. The following year, what those guys earned in roto value. Luke Voit went from a $34 season, his breakout year, down to $3 the following season. Ketel Marte went from $33 down to $9. Blake Snell, $37 down to $3. Aaron Judge, $34 down to $20. He was by far the best one of this bunch the following season. And Jonathan VR went from $37 down to $8. So none of that really has anything to do with Cedric Mullins per se. It's just an indictment of how hard regression can hit some of these breakout players the following season. Mullins wasn't really that heralded of a prospect. And yes, I get the skill change and not switch hitting anymore. I just think if history has any indication, Mullins is going to is not going to return value and even well below that. So I'm going on the side of history. Nothing against Cedric himself. The skills looked great last year, piled up plate appearances. It's just regression can really hit these breakout guys the following season.
I feel like you're saying he's overdue. Like the category is overdue for another winner.
That would be the glass half full result of that analysis. That's true. He may be due.
Ryan, is that a tweet you made somewhere I can retweet?
Yes, I can find it.
I'll search it while I go to Doc and Marty. Why don't you guys, so you don't step on each other's toes here? Marty, you can lead off, and then Eric's going to back clean up right behind you. So go ahead and why you hate Buxton. Well,
I'm going to keep it short because, as you know, this whole program is designed so Doc doesn't get to talk that much. So for me, it's literally just the injury history. I think, the harp on the point, if you're in an overall, right, and you're swinging for the fences and you want to be able to guy who's going to get you what Cedric Mullins did last year, and he does have MVP level skills. There's no one taking that away from him, but the dude cannot stay healthy. That's where it begins and ends with me. I cross him off the list and I just keep moving forward.
Now, does it bother you both that we drafted him in our Battle of the Pods league together?
No, because we're swinging for the fences.
No, I thought about this today, and David, you and I have never made a trade in any fantasy league we've done, regardless of any sport, because we just think too alike. I cannot think of something we've disagreed more on. I woke up seeing you picked Byron Buxton and my stomach hurt. I almost wanted to just throw the draft away.
Ryan, have you ever drafted where you have 4 co-managers on the same team?
I've never drafted with one co-manager. I cannot imagine 4. That's hilarious.
Oh, it was a lot of back and forth, and I think it was like 8 a.m. and Eric was still sleeping, and we had to make a pick in the next 10 minutes. And I was like, all right, who are we taking here? And I was like, you just want to take Buxton?
No. What he ignores is Springer's still on the board. And I said, I'm cool with Springer or somebody else, just not Buxton.
I feel like we could reach a CBA agreement before all you guys agree on the same player to take.
That is true.
Yeah. So just to pick up off Marty, it's not only injuries, but it's migraines. It's something that's reoccurring that you can't really predict, and they never really go away. I mean, if he wasn't the second overall pick and had the prospect pedigree, would we be hyping him up and keep giving him as much chances? The last 4 full seasons, 28, 87, 39, and 61 games. And the reason his draft price is so high is really because of the April he had, the March, April, 18 games, hit 426, 8 home runs, 14 RBIs. He followed it up with May with batting 208, 1 homer, 4 RBIs. First half hit 369, second half hit 256. We're literally chasing that 18-game high from March, April. That is probably never going to happen again. Mic drop.
Ryan, is the tweet from 2020?
I was just trying to find it. No, I thought I put something out this year. I thought I did La Boom Boards on it, but I'll find it. I don't know.
Yeah, I see the one from, it wasn't a Bloom board, but it was from July 13th, 2020.
No, I think it was recently, like a month or so ago.
Okay. Yeah, if you find it, I definitely, that's some really good information to do a little Doc's whole point there. LC, why don't you, and yeah, Forrest, this is a pretty awesome group of outfielders. It's just very volatile in this range. LC, I know you could talk all day about your next guy here, but let's keep it short and sweet.
Short and sweet.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got it. There are two players that I want to compare for you. Nick Castellanos had a home split of 359 with 23 home runs, 61 runs, and 72 RBIs. His road was 260 with 11 home runs, 34 runs, and 28 RBIs. There is another player whose road numbers are remarkably similar, and his name is Jeimer Candelario. He hit 262. Yeah, 262 with 10 home runs, 43 runs, and 39 RBIs. He actually outproduced Castellanos on the road.
He's not outfield eligible. He's just third base.
Yeah, but he's an I thought of the Detroit angle of, like, Casty is very home park dependent on his power. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll look at Detroit, see if there's anyone else who had similar road stats last year. And Jeimer Candelario is a lot like Nick Castellanos on his road stats. And I just thought that was pretty telling that with Castellanos, unless he's going to a good hitting park, you're going to get a good average, but you're not going to get the pop.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. He's somebody that I think people were high on, very much so, especially with the StatCast metrics last year, and equally have been kind of backing away from him a little bit more this offseason. Let's go to the last range, and we're going to rapid fire this here. You're going to give us your like and your dislike in this range, and just give us why you feel that certain way. And Ryan, why don't you kick us off in the 21 to 30 range? Who do you like and who are you disliking here?
So I did finally, before we get there, I did finally find the tweet. I just messaged it.
Perfect.
Messaged it to you. I'm going to go 21 to 30 range. I'm going to go, I guess I wanted to say Varsho, but he's a catcher, even though he's outfield eligible. I'll go Christian Yelich. I just don't see the bounce back coming. We've been waiting for 2 seasons. He's now 30 years old. The back is an injury that can recur, and just the skills the last 2 seasons have just completely decimated. So I was on the kind of the Christian Yelich comeback trail last season and kind of got burnt by that. But it's so hard for me to see how he gets back to what he was 2 years ago. Yes, he does still own those skills. He was a monster, but he's 2 years older now. Like I said, just entering his 30s. And as you guys, some of you guys maybe know, once you hit your 30s, man, things start to go down. So I think too much has to go right for Christian Yelich to get back to anywhere close where he was. I know you're not paying that with a 95 ADP, but he's just been so bad the last couple seasons that he needs to correct a lot to even return value.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. Marty, let's go to you. Who is the person in this range you like and dislike?
Yeah, so I like Bryan Reynolds, the Pittsburgh outfielder, not only because he was the only Pittsburgh Pirate I could actually name when we did our game a few months ago, but he just keeps getting better. Last year, he had 24 home runs with 90 RBIs. He stole 5 bases. He slashed 302, 390, 522. And I see him doing that exact same thing again. And when you look around the people that he's going, the players, whether you want Stanton or JD, those are guys who are getting a little bit older. They have big question marks or whether or not they're going to be able to contribute throughout the whole season. This guy is going to be good to go. He's 27 years old. His sprint speed's in the 88th percentile. He walks a ton. His expecting batting average is in the 94th percentile. So again, he's just another safe play. And if the Pirates are going to be nice to him, maybe they'll trade him. Maybe go to even a better lineup. So I think he's just somebody who's going to be slotted in as their third batter day in, day out, and you're going to get tons of production. And on the flip side of that, my dislike is going to be Kris Bryant. I understand that he's only this high ranked because he's in third base. But even with that said, there is nothing about him that stands out. and he keeps declining as he gets older. The batting average really isn't there anymore. The power isn't there anymore. And we're kind of just holding on to the past with him, you know. And for me, it's an easy fade in and out.
Unless he goes to Colorado.
Hey, if he goes to Colorado, then we might be talking. That's a different thing. But God, that's putting a lot of hope into one thing.
Yeah, no, it is for sure. Whoever goes there is going to get a spike in value. LC, same question for you. Cliff Notes version of your likes and dislikes, and it is a very juicy range for outfield. I don't know if either of you wanted to bring up Stanton, but
I feel like I'm being targeted by Ryan here. I really do. I really do. He's down on all the guys I like. Now, I've been out on Yelich the last 2 seasons coming off his 2019 injury. I kind of felt like that injury was going to have a long tail. Now, one of the things that I noticed which happened to Yelich last season was people will talk about how he found that launch angle when he came to Milwaukee. He didn't find a launch angle. His home run per fly ball went from the mid-teens, 15 to 20%, to over 30% when he got to Milwaukee. Last season, it dropped back down to 13%. He still hits the ball as hard. The problem was that his home run per fly ball dropped down. I think that there could be a bounce back there. I think, he still showed some speed. I don't think he's going to provide the same first round value, but I think you could be looking at someone who gives you, 10 to 15 stolen bases and could get you back in the upper 20s home runs if he finds that home run per fly ball that he even had after his 2009 injury. He had it in 2020. So I think there's a good bounce back there. And Ketel Marte is the guy I'm fading. I just don't know what you're going to get with Marte. He shows power one year. He doesn't have it the next year. Speed never comes through. So he could be just a one category contributor, really.
You're the first.
I agree with you there. Finally. I like that.
That's a good way to close this out. Is Doc real quick? You have Miles Straw as your dislike.
No. I know. Look at the text. I changed it because Miles Straw is outside the.
Dog, I don't look at my phone during a show.
All right. Says David that retweeted it when I was talking. So I'm a fan of JD Martinez. I think his low ADP is still a little bit baked into the dip he had in 2020, which David has made a point of multiple times. He didn't have access to technology to basically review his swing. He's not going to be that 40 homer, 100 plus RBI guy consistently that we knew in 2018 and 2019. But I think he could easily have close to 30 homers, 90 plus RBIs. He had 286 last year, but besides that, the last 4 full seasons, 300 plus hitters. So just great contact. And my fate is Daulton Varsho. The catcher eligibility makes it a little more glamorous, but a guy with a low career walk rate, high K rate, hasn't had great success with stolen bases in the majors. He has 9 in 132 games, and we were thinking that he was going to be good based on what he did in the minor leagues. I just don't think Arizona has a good team around him, which will likely lower counting stats.
Yeah, and I mean, we could get into the whole Daulton Varsho talk. Obviously, the catcher is the only reason why he's getting drafted this high. Everybody wants stolen bases from their catcher, but people are hoping there's a lot of playing time and a lot of possibility where he's going to be able to produce next year for the Diamondbacks. But I can understand why you don't like him there. All right, let's now go to what makes triple play. Let's go to first our question of the week, which is, of course, sponsored by Monkey Knife Fight. Triple Play Fantasy's an official affiliate to Monkey Knife Fight, the fastest growing sports betting site in the United States. New depositors receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 using promo code Triple Play. So LC's question for us this week is, who would be the dream commissioner of baseball right now? We all know it needs a change, but if you were up to you to elect it,
no way,
no chance. Who would be your dream commissioner? Ryan, you get to make that decision. As of right now, who would you have as commissioner of baseball?
I'm going to cheat a little bit and do some co-commissioners.
Okay.
I don't know if that's allowed, but that's okay.
It is today.
If we have 4 people drafting a team, we can have 2 people.
If you can have 4 co-managers on a squad, I can have 2 co-commissioners because I kind of think of them as one person anyway. But Jake Mintz and Jordan Schusterman, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. They are the duo that forms Cespedes Family Barbecue, which is just a super entertaining but also informative social media pretty much mecca that they have built. I just think those two guys, I believe they're from the DC area too. I just think those two guys are great for growing the game. They know their stuff, but they make baseball fun. They make it interactive, and I think that's what we need right now, where we're so bogged down with money and negotiations and that sort of thing. Make the game fun. Make it something you want to grow with the next generation. I think those two guys are fantastic at what they do, and they are great bastions for the sport.
Yeah, they're with Fox Sports. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think MLB picked them up for a little bit, and then now they're with Fox. So they've pretty much started from nothing and built a pretty sweet empire.
I remember the last time I saw them, they were with, I think, who was it? What's Bill Simmons's
The Ringer.
The Ringer. Thank you. I saw them with The Ringer, but I hadn't seen that they are doing big things. And they are funny because I've listened to them a few times. I think that's a good call.
Yeah.
Marty, what about you? Who's your pick?
I believe there's only one answer, and there's one man that we need for this job, and that's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
I knew this answer was coming. I knew it.
Now, first off, he's the people champ, so he's not going to let us, the fans, down. He's gonna rep us to the full way. Obviously, he has tons of. He's just a man in every sense. But what I really like about him, could you imagine sitting around with all those owners, bringing the players, bringing their side of it? No one's going to intimidate him. He's not going to be anyone's mouthpiece. Dwayne's going to say how it is, what it is, and he's going to be speaking for us, and he's going to be able to move this thing along. So, yeah, we got to get The Rock in here, man. And then he can be the president.
I think the president is where his eyes are set on at this point.
But we need him now more than ever.
Yeah, agreed. LC?
I have two answers. The first answer is any Cardinals fan that wants to see Wainwright and Molina play more games in their last season together. That'd be that's motivation. And my second answer, pro player to the end, Scott Boras. Why not? Pro player, wants to see all the games coming in, has a legal background. Come on, Scotty.
Those are both very creative answers. I'll give you that one, LC. Doc, wrap it up for us.
Yeah, I was going to go the Marty route and just think of present day, March 9th, when we're recording in Lockout. Just have Chuck Norris in there, someone that's neutral, and says, hey, you guys are sitting down, you're going to shake hands, and we're going to sign this. Like, not the best for growing the game, but probably maybe one of the best in getting us out of this.
He'd get stuff done, that's for sure. And I know someone could have easily said like Adam Silver, too. I think Adam Silver is like the standard for commissioner. So if he became a two-sport commissioner, he might not be a bad call either. All right. Time for the last segment of the night, and I'm glad I just remembered this. Now, Ryan, since you were last on, we like to take things up a notch here now. Now what we do during our game of the week is
put on the music.
I put on a little bit of music.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
We set the mood. We ease in. We're riding at night. We flow in.
We take off our clothes.
As it gets pretty wild. LC, what game are we playing this week?
This game is based entirely on the remaining free agents. There's a lot of talk these days about. I just said it about Nick Castellanos. How much I'm interested in him depends on where he ends up. There's a lot of big free agents left. Let's discuss who's there. Let's see how well you guys have been studying the hot stove this offseason. So there are 6 questions, and I have one tiebreaker question. Answering order is going to be Price is Right style, starting with David, then Doc, then Marty, then Ryan. And then we're going to switch it up. The first question, if you all are ready to go, I'm ready to go too. Okay. Mm-hmm. Freddie Freeman currently has been listed as being connected, had interest from the Rays, the Blue Jays, the Dodgers, and the Yankees. His former team, the Atlanta Braves, made him an offer before he started seeking other offers. This question, I'm going to give you 4 options. You tell me which one was the offer that Atlanta gave him. Was it 6 years for $160? Was it 5 years for $135? Was it 4 years for 118 or 5 years for 150? David.
I think it was the 4-year deal.
Eric.
I think it was 5 for 135.
Yeah,
Marty.
I go with what Doc said.
Ryan.
It was the first one you mentioned. I forget the exact numbers.
6 for 160?
Yeah. Yep. I'm going to go with that.
Well, Freddie's hoping for 6. 5 for 135 is what Atlanta offered him. So
Boom.
Marty and Eric have 1 point.
Oh, wait, I said 4.
You said 4 years. You said 4
But you
years.
know what? You and Ryan seemed more confident in your answers. So I was like, wow, maybe I got that wrong. Marty and I tag teaming our hate for Buxton and also getting this right.
There we go.
Doc, you're starting off this next one. Kris Bryant has been linked to many teams this offseason. 3 of these teams that I'm giving you, he has been linked to, and the 4th he has not been. You tell me which one he was not linked to. Kris Bryant. The 4 teams are the Mariners, the Padres, the Astros, and the Yankees. Which team was Bryant not linked to?
So it's Mariners,
Padres.
Astros, Padres. What was the last one?
Yankees.
I want to say the Padres.
Marty?
Astros.
Ryan?
Those are the 2 I was going to guess. I'll go Astros.
David?
I'm 90% sure it's the Astros.
The Yankees are the only team on that list
What?
who Bryant has
Wow.
not been linked to.
What? Are you serious?
Wait a minute. They're linked to everyone.
I was pretty
Yeah,
sure
I
I saw
know.
there was a tweet
I
that went out
know.
today that
I knew Seattle.
Yeah, the Seattle I knew for sure.
I'm gonna look
Yeah.
for this tweet really quick.
Well, you better
Are
tell those
we
people over.
protesting the results here?
You better tell those people over at MLB Trade Rumors they need to update their website.
Oh,
Okay.
you put them on blast. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Now same type of setup. 3 of these teams have been linked to Nick Castellanos. Which team has not been linked to Nick Castellanos? Marty, you go first. The 4 teams: Padres, Giants, Phillies, Marlins. Marty, you're first.
Go Phillies.
Ryan,
It's got to be the Marlins. They won't pay anyone.
David,
It was Phillies, Marlins. What was the other one?
Giants and Padres.
I'm gonna say Padres.
Eric,
I think it was Phillies. I do think the Marlins said they were going to go after him.
the Marlins did. The team that did not is the Giants. The Giants
Oh.
is the only one who has not been
We
linked to
are
Nick Castellanos.
Terrible at this.
We are doing bad. It's a
This
group
is
here.
it's a tough one because you have to be up on your hot stove, and right now it's 1 point for Eric, 1 point for Marty. It's anybody's game.
You guys want to end the
I
game now? I'm cool with it.
No.
No.
I have 1, 2. I think I have 3 questions left.
All right, let's
Yep.
do it.
Okay, Kyle Schwarber is said to be seeking a deal in a certain range, and I want you guys to tell me what is the deal that Kyle Schwarber is said to be seeking. And I'm going to give you 4 options. The 4 are 4 for 53, 5 for 95, 3 for 60, or 4 for 75. Ryan, you go first.
I'll go 3 for 60.
David,
I'm gonna go to the 4-year deal.
Doc.
There's 2 4-year deals.
Was it?
Oh, that's right. 4
You
for
Great
should've done
hedge,
it.
though. I like that.
could have done both. Oh man. What was
Which 4 for 53 or 4 for 75?
4 for 75? He wants the money.
Doc,
I think 3 for 60.
Marty,
4 for the lesser amount.
for 53. Okay, the right answer is 3 for 60.
There we go.
Schwarber's hoping to get 20 per.
I actually remember that one.
Wow.
I do
So
remember
Doc,
that.
you're in the lead. You have 2. Marty and Ryan, you both have 1. We still have 2 questions left and a tiebreaker. Okay. This Japanese player, Seiya Suzuki, has been linked to a number of teams as well. The 4 teams on this list, 3 of them he's been linked to: the Cubs, the Red Sox, the Tigers, and the Giants. Mendy, who do you think does not belong?
The Cubs, the Red Sox, the Giants, and what was the other one?
Tigers.
The Tigers have already so many outfielders. Like, I can't see them. It's got to be Detroit.
Doc?
I think it's the Red Sox.
Marty?
I'm going to go with the Tigers because Chris Illich refuses to spend, and he was one of the 4 owners that wanted to keep the CB, keep that salary cap. So, yeah, Tigers.
Gosh, we should have had him go first.
Ryan?
Yeah, I want to say Cubs, but I think it's too obvious, and that's taken me wrong before. So I'll go Red Sox.
The correct answer is the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah, on the
The
board.
Cubs, Red Sox, and Giants have
Good
all
call.
been linked to Seiya Suzuki. Good deductive reasoning there, Mendy. Good job on there. I thought since the Tigers had spent some money this offseason, they might fly right past you.
Chris Illich hates baseball.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day. So
Marty and I are tied going to the last one.
That's right. But David and Ryan can both tie it up here. The last one we're going here is Trevor Story. 3 of these teams have been linked this offseason to Trevor Story. Which one doesn't belong? The Astros, the Red Sox, the Rangers, and the Mariners. Doc, you go first.
Astros, Red Sox, Rangers, Mariners.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure I know the answer for this one.
You said this off season?
Yeah,
yes,
this offseason.
wouldn't it be another
No,
time?
no. I'm just thinking of like since they've signed and like the good. I'm gonna go Red Sox.
Rangers.
Ryan?
Mariners.
The only way I have
David.
a chance is if I guess different than Eric. I was gonna say I'm pretty sure it's the Red Sox, but I guess I have to guess different. It was the Mariners, Red Sox, Rangers, and
Astros, David.
yeah. I'm gonna say the Rangers just to try to be different.
The right answer is the Astros. The Rangers were linked to them before they signed 2 middle infielders. So
That's
that was
what I
a little.
thinking.
It's a little bit of a trick question right there.
That's what
Tricky, Art.
I know. I have Marty and Eric tied for first.
All right,
So
the tiebreaker question.
the tiebreaker question. All right. I'm going to do this. If any of you can tell me off the top of your head what the Japanese league team that Seiya Suzuki played for, that'll win it. If not, it'll be a multiple choice.
Let's do multiple choice.
Okay.
Multiple choice.
The four teams. Which of these teams did Seiya Suzuki play for in the Japanese league? The Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks, the Yakult Swallows, the Hiroshima Carp, or the Hanshin Tigers?
Can you say the first 2 names again?
The Fukuoka
Good.
SoftBank Hawks, the Yakult Swallows, the Hanshin Tigers, and the Hiroshima Carp.
It's impressive.
Thank you. Doc.
I'm gonna go the Bangkoks because you have a dirty mind.
That's not even one of the answers.
It's the Bang
Oh,
Hawks.
Banghawks. All right. Oh, yeah.
You're
You
somebody.
got all excited.
Yeah, well, no, it's hard to hear LC sometimes.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
watch that be the right answer.
Marty?
Everyone would expect me to say the Tigers, but I'm going to say the Carp because that's a horrible mascot, and he needed to move out of there.
Marty, you just did it right. The Hiroshima Carp.
Wow,
the
walk-off.
There it is.
That's a-
Marty for the win.
Well
Nice
done.
walk-off there from Marty. Nice job. Oh, goodness. Well, that was
not the
fun.
Bangkoks narrated.
Yeah, they're going to be they're going to get a complaint from them that we're trashing their name, Eric. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, it's all right.
All right. Well, on that note, Ryan, thanks so much for coming on the show tonight, man. It's always a ton of fun having you. It was even better the second time. So thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, likewise. This is a blast, guys. Talk soon.
Yeah, of course. And before we get out of here, please plug all the great work that you do because it's a ton of it. And then also tell them where they can find your bloom boards. Like you can pretty much find them right just on Twitter, right?
Yeah, that's how best to find me on Twitter at RyanDHQ. Or if you don't want to follow me. You can look up Bloomboards directly, #Bloomboards, and all kinds of stuff will show up from these last couple of months. Planning to do more. Just trying to pace myself because I don't know when the season's starting. So.
The last thing I want to ask you right before we get off of here.
Sure.
How do you think of what you want to look up for your Bloom boards? Because that's what I'm always curious about. I'm like, how did he even think of this is what he was going to look up?
Yeah, I used to do them. I mean, really for my articles at Baseball HQ. I've got a set kind of thing of what I look up. And as I'm writing my articles, I'm doing my research anyway. So that's how it started is I'm doing the research anyway. I'll tease a little bit out. We are behind a paywall, so I don't do the whole article, but I kind of spit out the useful, the interesting factoids, and that has grown into something bigger. So always thinking of stuff. Podcasts are always really helpful too. People are talking about, whatever, and the thought comes, okay, let me put some data to that. And a Bloom board is born.
I love it. I love it. If you have not seen a Bloom board, then you're living under a rock. So make sure you check that out and check out all the great things that Ryan does. It's some of the best stuff on Twitter. Every single person that watches Triple Play on YouTube or you listen to the podcast, we appreciate you guys each and every single week catching our stuff. Next week, we'll be joined by our good friend Bubba as we look at outfielders in the 31 to 60 range. Should be a fun show. But until then, stay safe. And all we can really do is I can wish you happy drafting, and we can keep our fingers crossed for a deal. But until next week, we're going to make like a bread truck, and we're going to haul these buns. Catch you guys in the next one.